YouTube, it's Sunday, right?
Why are you such a coffee cat?
I'm sorry guys, I really meant to upload on Sunday, but the holidays have been so crazy and I got so busy, and then whenever I wasn't busy, I was just too exhausted to do anything, and I'm sorry. But here we go, I'm gonna finally tell the story of when I was forced to live in a storage closet. Also, just so you guys know, I'm wearing a choker today, and if you guys know anything about me, you know that I can't do neck stuff. Like anytime something's touching like a certain spot on my neck, I just like start to freak out. But I really like this and I just got it, and so I'm hoping that it's gonna work, but if you see it just like disappear in the middle of the video, you know why. Also, I redid my background. What do you think? It's gonna look a lot better whenever I have my new camera lens, and I'm gonna have it like actually set up like I normally would, but right now this is like what we're dealing with. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on that, and I like that the guns are covered now because those were very not like, I didn't want those in my videos because like, it's not my aesthetic. Moving on, my aesthetic is story times. Not really, but let's do this. So, I started to write out a script the other day for this video, and I just couldn't do it. Like, I was writing out parts and I was like, this is connected, but this is connected, and I don't know if this is necessary, but maybe it is, and I don't know. I just couldn't get through an entire thing of like writing the script, you know? I couldn't do it. So, I decided that since I wrote out part of it, and it's still like semi-recent, it was like a year ago, I am just gonna try and tell it from memory, because honestly, at this point, that's just seeming like it's gonna be the best option. So, the two people I'm gonna be talking about in this video, I'm gonna call them Susan because of an inside joke, because I made a post about her a while back and I used the name Susan because I was like, oh, her name's pretty, she doesn't deserve a pretty name, I'll call her Susan. No offense if your name is Susan, I just don't like that name. And Rick. So I got my first apartment in the summer of 2015, and I found my roommates off of like a website, I think it's called like Roommate Match or something like that, and its purpose is exactly what it sounds like. It literally takes like your preferences for a roommate and things like that, and like puts it together with someone else's who matches yours, and yeah, then you just meet up and you talk and you figure out if you're gonna like them. I met with a couple different people, but they were my favorites. Susan and I instantly clicked. I don't know why, we just did. Rick was very awkward, but like me too, so like I didn't really think anything weird about it, you know? We were just like hanging out and talking. We actually went out to go eat the first time we met at my favorite burger place, and yeah. So when it came time to move in, I was really excited. I was like, I'm finally gonna live with people that I like. I've never had a good living situation. Well, I had one good living situation at that point, but it was still a little weird, and like, that's not the point. Anyway, I was really excited. So I moved in, and rent was fairly cheap, but I was still struggling because I was living about 45 minutes away from where I go to school, which like same as now, but and I always wind up doing that, but anyway, it's just where cheaper housing is. But yeah, so I was 45 minutes away from where I go to school, which is also where I happen to work and have worked and etc. since like 2014. So yeah, my job was in Charlotte. So obviously it was kind of a problem with gas and things like that, and it was financially difficult, and I only get paid bi-weekly there too, so there's that too, and I don't know. I wound up like quitting that job for a little while. I came back later, but at the time I quit, and then I was having a really hard time finding another job. Nowhere up near where I was living was hiring, and the places that were like really, I don't know, just shitty places, which looking back, you know, I was basically starving. I really should have just taken any job, but I was still like, no, like I got one job where I was like, I wanted to be a server, but they were like, oh, you have to start out as a busboy and work your way up after a few months, which like whatever. But the first day there, I hated it so much. I was like, I'm never coming back into the store. So anyway, so while I'm living there, Susan is acting like we're best friends. Like we hang out all the time. She'll like randomly go buy Fireball and we'll like drink together, we'll bake together, just like fun stuff, just like hanging out. And I've never had that in a roommate. Even in my other good living situation, we didn't really hang out that much, you know? Like sometimes we did, but it was like, you know, whenever we're just like happen to be sitting in the living room and the other person's like, oh, hey, can I join you? It's, you know, it's not the same thing. She like, even specifically, I remember her telling me one time we were like standing in the kitchen or whatever, and she's like, we have like this really special connection. And I was like, yeah, we do, because it felt like we did. Ha! So yeah, when I moved in, it was, I think, August. And then by the time December rolled around, again, I was struggling for money, but I had finally found a job. I got a job at Barnes & Noble as a barista, because that's just what I do. I'm always a fucking barista. What else is new? And I literally was about to start. I think I actually mentioned this in a past story time, the I Kill Cars one or one like that. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I've talked about this briefly, but it was like my first or second day or something like that. I don't know. At the very least, I hadn't gotten my first paycheck yet, okay? I get up and I go out to my car and I'm like all excited. I'm gonna get there on time. I got a new job. Everything is good. I get in my car and my tire has been blown. I don't know. I guess it started to go flat, and then whenever I parked, it just like continued to deflate overnight. I don't know, but it was like shredded. Like I couldn't like drive on it. Danny, no. So I had to go wake up our other roommate, whose name I'll call her Amanda. She, this was actually important to the story before. She moved in because Susan and Rick broke up because Rick was cheating on Susan. I feel like I sound like I'm in high school. Oh my god, so like Rick cheated on Susan? Okay, anyway. So Rick cheated on Susan and Susan kicked Rick out. We started like going clubbing and whatever, and then she was like, well, we need to make more money. We need to have someone else living here so that we can keep the rent at, I think it was like $240 a month. So we started looking, mostly her, because her name was the only one on the lease. And she found this girl who, again, I'll call Amanda. The deal was, there were 2 bedrooms, and Susan lived in the one that she used to live in with Rick, which like it was the bigger one. That's why she got to live in that one with Rick. And I had my bedroom, which was slightly smaller, but still pretty decent sized. I mean, it was definitely bigger than this room. It was nice. It was a cool place. But whenever Rick moved out, like Susan wasn't gonna like let Amanda live in her room with her or something like that. So whenever Amanda came and talked to her, she was like, all right, so you can stay like in the kitchen, like you can put your bed in there and you can have your furniture in the living room and that can be your living area. I don't really care as long as you contribute to rent. And she's like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Like she knew what she was doing getting into this, right? So her having her bed in the kitchen didn't work out too well, because both Susan and I were insomniacs and would get up at like 3, 4 in the morning and just like make some food because we were starving. And what else are you gonna do if you're starving? Just like lay there? No, like that's not a good plan. So she kept getting like woken up in the middle of the night because it doesn't matter how quiet you're trying to be, like you can't be silent while cooking. You can be quiet, but you can't be silent. And she was a light sleeper, I don't know, so she always woke up. Now there was a storage closet in the hallway that Rick used to keep all of his car parts in because he like worked on cars and shit. And so, but like whenever he left, it was empty and it wasn't being used, so Amanda decided she wanted to put her bed in there. Now, it's a storage closet. It's small. Her bed did not fit. So there's like one wall here and one wall here, and like she put her bed down and it didn't fit flat. It was like up like this, and it was like flat the rest of the way, but like there was like a bit of it that was just like up on the wall. But she did that herself. Like she knew, she was like, whatever, like I'll do this. I'll spend most of my time in the living room and then just sleep in here. And I was like, all right, that's cool. That sounds like a good plan. So she chose that. I just want to reiterate that she chose that. She could have moved out anytime, but she didn't. So yeah, whenever my tire blew, I had to come in and ask Amanda to take me. I don't know why I didn't ask Susan. I don't remember. I feel like there was a reason, but I don't remember what it was anymore. But anyway, so I got Amanda up and she took me to work, and then she took me back later that day. We were both like having a great conversation, still in a good mood, like, well, this sucks, but like whatever, like we'll fix it. The bad thing was, though, my tire blew right when rent was due. I don't know. It was very difficult to pay rent when I couldn't drive. And so my priority was like to get my tire fixed, and I'm like, hey, can you cover me and I'll like fix it? And it was only gonna be like $50, something like that, because it's a tire, like you just take it and whatever. So I wound up having to have Amanda and Susan take me to work the next few days until I could get it fixed. And that day, actually, whenever it first blew, Susan came in and sat me down, and she was pissed. She actually like called like a roommate meeting with all of us. Rick actually happened to be there that time. I don't remember why. Maybe he was visiting. I'm not entirely sure. That whole thing was stupid, but that's beside the point. So yeah, she had us all in there. She sat us all down, and she was looking at me and she was like, you should have known your tire was gonna blow. Like, you knew. There's no way you didn't know, which like bullshit. Like I didn't fucking I didn't fucking know. Like I didn't know my tire was gonna blow. Like what do you mean? Like I just whatever. And she's like yelling at me, trying to claim that I'm like doing it on purpose, that I just like don't want to pay rent and I want to keep fucking her over, because obviously that was my plan. I definitely blew my tire on purpose so that she would have to cover me for rent. Like what the fuck? Like what does that even mean anyway? She was like just going ballistic, and I'm just sitting there like, are you fucking joking? Like what? Like excuse me? Anyway, the rest of the stuff that happened in between this and what I'm about to talk about just like requires another whole story time, to be honest. But basically, I was supposed to be out by the end of the month at that point. And so I was pretty upset about that, but at the same time, like whatever, you know, like if it's gonna be like this, if she's gonna be this fucking crazy all of a sudden, like no, like I'm out. So I'm like, you know, asking for rides and trying to figure out a way to get my tire fixed and stuff. And I got to the point, I borrowed money from actually the people I'm living with now, so that I could get a tire. And so I had already, I think, bought the tire online. I just had to get to Walmart and I had to have it mounted. And the thing was, like, I didn't have a way to get there, and Susan kept being like, oh, I can't take you, and Amanda kept being like, oh, I can't take you, you keep asking me for rides, and my mental health can't handle it, which, okay. So I'm sitting here like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do, right? And Susan was like, well, you should have asked Rick for help with your car, and you should have gotten him to fix it. So finally, I'm like, all right, well, if he can go ahead and get off the tire off of my car, I can just ride in with someone instead of, like, taking my car in. But the thing was, my car had, like, this thing called, like, a locking key or something like that. It's, like, basically a lug nut, but you need, like, a special tool to get it off instead of, like, the regular tool that you use to get off lug nuts, you know? And it's, like, supposed to come with the car, but I didn't have it in my car, and the car, like, I'd gotten from the Evil X, like, I like, bought it off of him, so, like, I didn't have a way to get the key, and apparently you can buy them, but they're, like, really expensive, so I was like, nah, like, usually they just break it off and it's fine. So I asked him to do that because I was like, I can't drive to Walmart like this, like, I just can't, like, it's literally hanging off of the rim, there's no way for me to even, like, risk it, you know? So then he looks at it and he's like, oh, I don't have a locking key, I can't do it. Okay, so then I'm like freaking the fuck out. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do, right? So I actually go and talk to Amanda because she had said that she has like AAA. So then I was talking to her and I was like, well, can I use your AAA? Like, all you have to do is like be there with me. And she's like, well, you know, you keep asking me for rides, and like for my mental health, I feel like I have to say no to this. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't have to do anything. I'm literally like in a crisis. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do otherwise? Like, I can't just keep asking you for rides to work. Like, if you want to worry about your mental health, like, I can't, like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was dumb. I was like, literally, what do you mean? You are literally going to have to take me to work more if you don't do this. So, like, really, this is in your best interest. But I was desperate. Keep in mind, I was very fucking desperate. I was barely even talking to my parents at this point, and I was very isolated from everyone. I just, like, I didn't see any options. So when she was like, so, if I do this, because my mental health's messed up, I'm gonna need you to give me like 20 bucks. I was like, I don't have 20 bucks. I'm broke. I just had to borrow just enough money to get this tire and get it mounted. What do you mean 20 bucks? I don't fucking have $20. I haven't gotten paid yet. Then she was like, all right, fine. You know what? Since you're moving out anyway, well, if I let you use this, how about we go ahead and switch rooms? And me being the desperate bitch I was, I agreed. I was like, sure, I guess. Like, I don't want to fucking live in a storage closet, but whatever. Like, I'm desperate. I have no other goddamn option. So whatever. If that's what it's gonna fucking take, then fine. So literally, the deal was that, like, by the end of the week, we would, like, switch rooms. We'd just, like, start slowly packing and stuff like that. But she got so excited, obviously, because she's like, oh, sweet, I don't have to live in a storage closet anymore because I tricked some bitch into doing it. She went ahead and packed up her stuff that night and was like, let's go ahead and switch. And I was like, okay. So I switched, right? I packed up all my stuff and I put it in my room and I was waiting and I was just like, this sucks. My mattress didn't fit. My cat hated it in there. Literally, she was crying nonstop, and they forced me to keep my cat in my room for, again, reasons I'll explain in another goddamn story time, because there's so many. Literally, it was miserable. It was tiny. There were no windows. It was a literal storage closet. I had no fucking places to put my shit, and I did not choose it. And then the next day, when she said she was gonna call AAA, she apparently had talked to her dad about it. And her dad said that it doesn't work that way. And you have to actually be the person. You can't just let someone else use it. It doesn't work that way. They won't let you do it regardless. They won't let you. And then she proceeded to tell me that, like, oh, well, we already switched rooms, so, like, sorry, but you can't use my AAA because my dad says it doesn't work that way. But literally, I've seen it work that way. What the fuck do you mean? My parents have done that before. Like, not with me, but, like, they've, like, used someone else's or, like, let someone else use theirs. Like, you can... As long as you're there, they'll let you do it. When I tell you, I almost fucking exploded. I almost fucking exploded. Like, my head almost just... and I had a breakdown. Literally, like, one of the worst breakdowns I've had in forever. Like, the only worst one was the one that I had this past summer, but that's for other reasons and also car related. My car stresses me out, I guess. So I wound up calling my mom and being like, I'm desperate. I don't know what to do. These people are treating me like shit. I'm literally living in a goddamn storage closet with no money. My meals recently have been mac and cheese and potato chips. Legitimately, that's what I was eating because that was the cheapest shit I could fucking afford. And so my parents came up and were like, all right, fine, we'll like drive up there, we'll give you some gas money and we'll get you that tire. And then they wound up bringing me like a bag of food and stuff, and I started crying and it was a whole emotional ordeal. And then I was living in the storage closet, and then I worked out a payment plan with Susan for the rent for that month. It was gonna be like $80 a week because I was finally getting paid every week and I was getting paid $10 an hour. So I was like, sweet, like I'll be able to start making payments soon. And the deal was that I was gonna have 1 week where I would pay like, I think it was 30 instead of 80 because I had to pay my phone bill. So then my phone bill came due a little bit sooner than I was expecting because again, I was in the middle of a breakdown. So my brain was elsewhere. And they were like, all right, we're gonna cut off your phone. Like well, actually, I think it was already due. It was like past due, but yeah, then they cut off my phone and I was like, oh shit, like I need to have my phone because I'm trying to find a roommate and they don't have Wi-Fi all of a sudden because they're like, oh, we're too broke for Wi-Fi, even though whatever, that's beside the point. So I literally have no fucking way to look for another apartment is what you're telling me, but I have to get out. Like, anyway, so I was freaking out and I was like, hey, can I switch that week to this week so that I can pay my phone bill and then you'll get the $80 a week after this week, which is totally reasonable, right? Like you would think that's totally reasonable. She's like, no, you promised me $80 a week. First of all, bitch, I said maybe. I said that's a most likely payment. Like I can probably get you about $80 a week depending, but I hadn't even gotten my first fucking paycheck yet. And also, there was already, like that was already the fucking plan. I just had to switch weeks. But she's like, no, you promised me $80 a week. And so if you don't give me $80 by this Friday, then you have to be out by tomorrow. I went off. I started calling her names. I started just fucking, oh my god. I had a bottle of wine in the fridge that I don't really remember how I got. I just had it. I don't know. But I drank the entire thing and it was like a red and it was like a strong red and I drank the entire goddamn thing that night. I got so drunk. It was ridiculous. And then the next day when I was moving out, we were like cursing at each other and they accused me of beating their dog and you know, all that fun stuff. And then I wound up living in, you know, the apartment that I lived before this where my roommate was crazy and, you know, hyperventilated, hallucinated our neighbors trying to kill us. Go check out that story time. Actually, that was my first official story time. It was the I almost got murdered story time because, yeah. So yeah, that's the story of when I was forced to live in a storage closet. I'm still bitter about this. So yeah, that's all for this story time pretty much. And like I said, there's so much more about these fucking crazy psychopaths and I cannot wait to tell you about it. But that's about all for this week. And I'm sorry that this video was late. I'm really sorry. The holidays are crazy, but I will be better and I'm gonna have my camera lens hopefully soon. I'm excited. My channel is gonna look so much better. Also, I'm about to be in a web series with some of my friends, so keep your eye out for that. I will start like, you know, advertising and stuff whenever it comes ready or whatever. I actually don't even know that much about it yet, but I'm excited. And I'm amazed at myself. I still have this on. There were a couple times where I almost took it off, but I'm powering through. It's making me itchy, but I am obsessed with the way it looks on me. I always thought I could pull off chokers. I always told people if I didn't have a neck thing, I would wear chokers all the time because I could pull them off, and I can. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so fucking much. Don't ever live in a storage closet. It's the worst experience you'll ever have. Well, maybe not the worst. I've technically had worse experiences than that, but it was still a bad one. And I would not recommend it. I hope you guys like my new background. I love it a lot. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. I love you so fucking much. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more story times and random weird shit and just like me. I'm sorry for the jingling. I have like this that I got today and like I keep like shaking it all around, like honestly not on purpose, but low-key, like it's fun. Stay cool, MeowChiatos. And don't live with Susan and Rick. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you next week. Hopefully actually on Tuesday. Sunday. I upload on Sundays. Hey YouTube, hey YouTube, hey YouTube, it's Sunday. We thought you died. Fuck it, I'm dead. Little boulder. Whiplash, sorry. Subscribe. Anyway, kind of psycho mode. What? MeowChiatos? Same. Woohoo! Why does this shit happen to me?
Why are you such a coffee cat?
I have only put on mascara today and I am impressed.